core values to valued culture. Here is your host, Will Scott, interviewing another CEO about leading culture in their company.
Hello, Culture Czars. Welcome to another interview where we talk to CEOs that care about corporate culture. We call this series From Core Values to Valued Culture, and our purpose is to help CEOs create environments where people thrive, such that employees love where they work, have a purpose to why they work, and also love the people they're working with. My guest today is David Snelson, Managing Director of Ware Systems. Particularly exciting podcast for me because David and I have worked together for a long time. And I'm a founder and owner in Ware Systems, headquartered in the United Kingdom. And David is our managing director there. And so lots of interesting content for this podcast. And David, I'm just realizing, actually, I think you're the first podcast guest from across the waters. And my first international guest. So, David, welcome to the Culture Czars podcast.
Thanks very much, Will. It's nice to see you, and I love your beard.
Yes, I'm still sporting my COVID beard. We'll see for how long that sticks around. David, please start by telling us a little bit about Ware Systems and what we do.
Okay, sure. So Ware is a cloud software company, and we have a single solution. It's called WareLinks, and it's a warehouse management system for a niche target market. Basically, if companies, large-scale companies, distribution businesses, light manufacturing, e-commerce businesses, if they power their business with NetSuite and they have a complex warehouse management need, then we are the go-to company for them. So it's warehouse management solution delivered through the cloud for companies that run their business with NetSuite.
Very cool. And things are going well, right? We're growing fast and got locations all over the world.
Yes, things are going unbelievably well. And this year particularly has been incredible. We saw actually almost 90% growth in our NetSuite revenues in 2019. And we started 2020 with just an absolute bang. It was incredible. We won 8 contracts in the first 6 weeks of the year. And given that our target for the year is 20, it was just unprecedented. Then COVID hit. I was in Italy actually when it went into lockdown, and I came back, and the world had changed.
Yeah.
And what did COVID do for us? It actually has given us a break. We're one of the few companies that have been really lucky and benefited through this, because we had so much work to deliver, so many new projects to deliver. The lull in sales activity, the lull in customer communication or prospect communication on new projects meant that the team could focus on all the work that we got to deliver for these new customers. So it's been a fantastic start for the half year, delivering those. And would you believe it, we actually secured 2 new contracts with prospects during lockdown, and we never even met them. Only through Zoom, only through Zoom, Skype, meetings, that kind of thing. And that probably points to the way the world is going to go. We're all going to have to get used to that, I think. And it can be done. I mean, we've done it. It can be done. It's great.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, a lot of people are learning just how much work can be done from home. A lot of CEOs are learning to trust that employees can work from home very effectively. But yes, in a business that implements warehouse management systems, it's unusual that can be done remotely too. I understand you're not only closing new opportunities, signing contracts, over the internet is one thing, but you're actually implementing, aren't you, new warehouse installations during this time?
Yeah, and that is transformational for us because, we've got a couple of projects in the States, and we're going to launch those. We've done the whole business analysis process through FaceTime and through video. We've recorded those, and then we fed back the client requirement. It's worked really well. Obviously, the circumstances mean that both parties are enthusiastic about getting that done, which is slightly different to before. If we'd have suggested that, you could understand that people would have some reticence. It's like, no, we want you here. We want to see you. We want to meet. We want to, shake hands. But because of the circumstances, we were forced into that, and everybody is forced. And the fact that it's been proven to work is just brilliant. And going back to what you wwere saying about trusting CEOs, trusting people to work from home. I mean, I'm a flexible guy. I don't mind if people work from home. We've got relatively flexible working hours at Wear Systems. But
Yeah.
in May, we had a record May, and nobody went to any of our offices. So,
Yeah.
you know, what can I do? It's changed the way that we look at how people come into the office and so on permanently.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And of course, companies still need, I mean, we're kind of in the logistics and supply chain space, aren't we? Companies still need to move product and deliver product. And we're kind of at the core of a lot of that for some very significant businesses, aren't we?
We are, and it's been really interesting to see that there are some of our customers that have been, you know, big winners through COVID. So, I mean, we've got a few people in the healthcare space that provide PPE. Unbelievable. Mm-hmm. You know, they've had record sales. We've also got a customer that sells high-end garden machinery. Everyone's at home, and the weather's been beautiful in the UK. So everyone's wanted to buy their stuff, and for 3 months in a row, they had record sales.
Yes.
And
Amazing.
There's the flip side too. I mean, there's the flip side too. We've got other companies who are, you know, they're involved in the wedding sector and bookstores as well. A couple of bookstores that we've got on our books, they've not done all that well out of COVID, but they're starting to see certainly green shoots. We've got a book retailer in South Africa, pretty quiet for them through COVID. They even shut down one of the warehouses. But now, I just looked just last week, in fact, last week they shipped 43,000 parcels and are, you know, back up and running. So that's great.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, it's definitely interesting times, not just for, you know, business and the way we do business, but culture too. And but David, just think back over the last you know, couple of years as you've been driving growth with the business. How important has the culture been at Wear Systems, and how have you managed that?
Okay, I mean, the simple answer to the question is that the culture is crucial. You know, the culture of the company is absolutely crucial. But if you go back a little bit further to look at kind of context as to why that is. You know, we run the company using the entrepreneurial operating system, which I know is very close to your heart.
Yeah.
The reason we did that is because, you know, I did some work with you when you were at Lextech in Naperville on a consultancy basis. And when I got there, you know, I was just so struck by the way that the drumbeat of EOS created such great alignment. Mm-hmm. And so when the opportunity came for me to be the MD of a company, to be the CEO, and the chairman said to me, how are you going to do this if we put you in charge? I already knew exactly what that answer was. And of course, a central component of that whole process is culture.
Right.
And core values.
Yes.
And on day one, when I got the job, I took the whole senior leadership team off site and I said, what we do as the first job is we work out what our core values are. Mm-hmm. So culture, absolutely central to everything. Why? I think for us, you know, we're an IT company. We've got people like me that are not introverts and, you know, like to run at 1,000 miles an hour. But I also do have a lot of technical people that are introverted, that are, you know, really passionate about getting it right. And we're all really different. So how do we make sure that everybody's on the same page, everyone's doing the right thing, everyone's aligned? You know, it comes from that process. It comes from highlighting great examples of behavior that really shine a light on our culture. And just through that process, basically, we get alignment, we get like-minded people, and we even drag, you know, some of the introverts into kind of a customer-focused mindset.
Yes. No, that's awesome. And I know via Slack and other ways like that, one of the things you do to keep your core values alive now is you invite nominations, don't you? And hasn't that taken on sort of a life of its own now?
Yeah, it's really awesome. It's great. We have a core values week every month. Mm-hmm. It used to be like, look, everybody, we need you to nominate your teammates when you see examples of good behavior for core values. And it was kind of the usual suspects. I'd find 3 or 4 people that I thought had done a really great job. And a couple of the senior leadership team would, and then there'd be like, you know, someone in support, someone in development that would always do it. But it was clear that it needed a bit more of a kick. So we came up with this idea of Core Values Week. So the last week of every month, what we now say is, hey, everybody, it's Core Values Week. And everybody knows what that means. I also say, it's kind of not compulsory, but it is. I need everybody to be looking through the month for examples of their teammates where they're exhibiting our core values, and that's happening now. And the stories are fantastic. We have a Slack channel for CVC, Core Value Champions.
Love it.
And at the end of every month, it's just full of the most wonderful stories. And the best thing about it is, if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't hear about a lot of these things.
Yeah.
We've got a big team. We're a big team now. We're growing really quickly, really successful. And if it wasn't for things like that, where people are kind of pointing out something that somebody specific has done, I probably wouldn't see it. So when the time comes to sit down with the leadership group and talk about salary and talk about structure and talk about who might go where, I really draw on that a lot.
Yeah,
I really, really draw on that a lot, and I can start to see they embody what I'm after. I want them to be maybe taking an elevated position in that team. It's fantastic.
Yeah, that's great. I love the way too you talk about the stories, and that's very important, isn't it? Is okay, so somebody you caught somebody committing a core value, but tell the story helps reinforce the behaviors that you're looking for.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
So let's go a little deeper into that. What are some of your core values, and maybe are there any stories that you can remember that come to mind that embody those, or that have come about in the last time you did that?
Yeah, I can send you some screenshots of some of the ones that that the team have nominated, which is probably even better than me talking about it. But if I look at our core values channel from Core Values Week, it's full of really cool stuff. I'm looking at it now. I'll send you some screenshots. There's a screenshot which is Kung Fu Panda with his arm up saying, hey everybody, that's the stink of awesomeness. And it's somebody talking about great work, knocking the socks off a demo for one of our customers, embodying our core value of customer focus.
So customer focus is one of your core values. What are some of the others?
Customer focus is one of our core values, and I have to say it is our number one.
Okay,
if
I know that's always been your passion too, hasn't it?
Absolutely. My view is, if the customer's happy, then it means your product's good. It means that the people are communicating properly. It means support is good. It means they're happy. And we also reinforce that every week with every one of our customers. One of the team has a 10-minute call, and we always do a quick check and say, okay, as a customer of us, how do you feel on a scale of 1 to 10? 1 being dreadful, 10 being amazing. And if it's ever lower than 7, whoever takes that call alerts the management team, and we work out what we can do as a team to make that better for the following week. And that plugs into the core value idea as well. So our core values are customer, communication, enterprise, integrity, innovation, well-being, and fun. And I'm pretty sure that most of the team can recite that. They will be able to come up with those.
Yeah.
Less so the behaviors. We try and make those kind of, the behaviors, we try and make them memorable. Fun has got laughter equals dopamine equals productivity, which I think is a really cool behavior to have. And it's unusual. It sticks in the mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
And enterprise is a pretty new one. It only came into existence about 6 weeks ago. But what we found is, it comes back to EOS actually. Everyone's got a number. And we're finding that, there's the old adage that you can't manage what you don't measure. We're doing a lot more with numbers. We're doing a lot more, tracking about sprint points per person, support cases per person, all those kind of things. And I want everybody to understand, enterprise, number one behavior, we focus on our targets and we hit them. It's a really important part of making the business tick. And I also wanted to put that kind of hard-coded in there. We all have a number.
That's great. So you're running EOS, and the culture part of that you've kind of, I guess, taking very seriously and blowing that up, which is really something I do in my work too. And what as you look to the future, how's this going to help? How is all these things going to help? Because there's plenty of people out there who say, core values just words on the wall. Employees are cynical about them. A lot of employees are still disengaged. So as you look to the future, how are you going to keep using these to drive the performance of the company?
Yeah, there are two things there. when new people come, well, we use our culture and our core values to determine which of our interviewees we're going to go with.
So when you're recruiting, you use core values then, yes?
Yeah, absolutely. We use the people analyzer in every interview to say, okay, we try and frame a question that gives us an example of how they exhibit a certain
culture.
Culture.
Yeah.
So we're all about trying to create alignment. I think if you've got like-minded individuals and they're all pulling in the same direction, you've got a better chance of hitting where you're going. But to the wider point about, what's it all about? What's the point? I think, in the event that we were going to be acquired or, part of some form of transaction, there are things that companies look at. And there are things that, acquirers would look at. And they'll look at the obvious things, the numbers and the management team and the guy at the top. Is this guy or girl our man, But one of the things they look at is, does this business work? Does it function? Has it got a process? And we have, we've got the where way. And it's all documented and it's constantly evolving. And when someone walks through the door and says, we're interested in acquiring your company, can you tell us, have you got a good process for X, Y, and Z? It's all there. It's all laid out. And it all comes from our core values.
Yeah.
So that's why we do it. That's why I'm so keen.
Okay. Awesome. And, process, in my experience, as I'm an EOS implementer, and of the 6, key business components, process is always the last to get nailed in my experience. It's the hardest to actually go through and document, and then not just make sure it's a piece of paper that sits in a drawer, but that really is, a live process that is being audited on some sort of time frame. That's but when you do, and you can keep doing things the same way and have success repeat and get really good at it, then of course that's absolutely key to, especially when you start growing like we are at Ware Systems.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a couple of examples recently. We've got 2 Fortune 500 companies in the US that are our customers, and we love them very much. And one of them said to us recently, guys, our auditors have said that, using your system for stock counting is a bit of an issue because you haven't got SOC 1 certification. And I mean, I'm a liar, like you are. And I had no idea what that was.
Yeah.
I'd never even heard of it. And it's a compliance audit that is really crucial in the States. And when we looked into it, we needed to engage, a senior big hitting consultant. We actually used Ernst & Young to come in and help us get through that process. And when they arrived and they said, okay, this is all about kind of, have you got a process for releases? Have you got a process for code quality and checking? And when we got out the Ware way and unpacked it all and took them through our processes, they said, hey, listen, this is like better than nearly every company we've ever been.
You're 80% of the way there.
Absolutely.
To compliance.
So, yeah, absolutely great.
Just so the listeners kind of get that, what is the term, this compliance term in the US?
SOC 1.
Oh, SOC 1. Obviously,
Yeah,
SOC stands for something. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And who are some of our customers, by the way? Drop some names for us.
Well, the biggest one in the US is a company called Bayware, Fortune 500 company, and they build your solar farms or wind turbines, wind farms. Really, really big business, going places. Yeah. Great company to work with. We also have Iron Planet in the USA, who do a disposals process for the US military. If you want to buy 5,000 pairs of US Marines pajamas in medium, they're the guys to go to.
Okay.
And we operate. Our customers operate on a much smaller scale too. If you've got NetSuite, you're looking at probably being like a £5 million turnover company anyway. So that's our market, kind of 5 million up to anybody really big. I mean, obviously we've got Airbus still as a customer.
Yeah.
Gigantic.
Yeah.
Everybody in between.
Just to mention Airbus for a minute, we must be going into our 20th. No, more than that, right? Over 20 years we've been serving Airbus and managing a lot of the components for their wing manufacture.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, big VMI program, vendor managed inventory program, and
yes,
all that work.
Just-in-time delivery, kitting, all these kinds of things. These are some of the modules, some of the cool stuff that's in Whalings, right?
Yeah, and that background in aerospace has given us a great platform to position ourselves as the advanced solution in the NetSuite marketplace because, aerospace has got the greatest level of traceability requirement outside of nuclear and pharmaceuticals. So all that kind of knowledge that we've built up has been brilliant for going into the businesses that we're doing now.
Yeah, and you've kind of dropped NetSuite into the conversation a couple of times, but that's really our go-to-market strategy, isn't it? Now we really are a NetSuite partner, all in, and if you're using NetSuite, then and you're looking for a more sophisticated, a more capable WMS supply chain management system, then Welllinks is one of the good options in the suite world, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, NetSuite's own WMS is pretty cool. But it's great if you've just, you're starting out with barcoding and you want to do goods in, you want to pick, pack, ship and that kind of thing. But if you've got a more complex need, if you're doing any kind of light assembly, kitting, light manufacturing, using stock from the warehouse, attaching it to a works order, putting it into a manufacturing process, something else comes out at the end, all that is really complex. Multiple warehouses, high volume transactions. We've got warehouses that are using Welllinks and they're shipping 20,000 orders a day with 40 line items on each order. It's great for that kind of thing. So very much, if you want to graduate from one of the kind of entry level solutions, that's where we sit.
Yeah, and it really, I would call it a pivot, David. Because we were, growing and had a strategy for, direct, as we were with Airbus and Bombardier and some others, Schenker, I remember. But at some point we decided as a small company, that was going to be a good fit for us. We got our first NetSuite customer and then pivoted all in on that, didn't we?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it was by chance, to be honest. We just had started to have a conversation with a wonderful company in South London who said, listen, your software is amazing, but it's $200,000 and I've got a $10,000 budget. I need you to give it me for nothing. And I was like, yeah, well, okay, why? And he said, because there's an amazing marketplace just there waiting for you. The ERP that we've got that I'd never heard of. All we knew was SAP, right?
Right, so, yeah.
You start to look at what NetSuite were doing as a disruptor in the ERP space. And I wondered if there was some mileage in it. And we had a lot of conversations with NetSuite themselves. And they said, yeah, we're looking for a good WMS partner, particularly in Europe. And we then focused our energies on attending their annual shindig called Suite World in San Jose at the time. And after 5 minutes of that trade show, we all knew that we had to completely pivot, as you say, and switch strategy because there was a fantastic market. Knock a zero off the price, repurpose the software slightly away from kind of complex aerospace supply chain and focus much more on kind of mid-market distribution using NetSuite. And we could deliver a great product. And instead of selling it maybe 2 or 3 times a year, we could sell it 2 or 3 times a month. And that is a business. That is a great business. And the rest is history. It's been amazing. A great journey.
Yeah. And David, the company's, we're in our 21st year, aren't we, this year?
Yes.
We started in 99. Yeah. Which is great. And for, how many, small independent software companies, have done that? Not many. So it's a great success. And I know we're excited about our future. But, going back a little bit to core values, because before you took over running the company, I ran it from, I guess, 1999 when we started it till about 2010, I think. And I remember writing my first set of core values for Ware Systems in the year 2000. At some point, you decided, we'd done this pivot that, so we're really in a different market a little bit. The people had changed, you and I had kind of handed over the baton. And you changed core values, which, in a lot of cases, I would counsel companies not to do that. But there are circumstances when it does apply, and I think this was absolutely one of them. It was also 10 years later. So, it was an interesting transition. But when the company pivoted, that was also a great time to sort of reset the culture. Yeah,
and I'm keen on looking at core values at least at the start of every year.
Mm-hmm.
We go off site for a 2-day planning session every December to look at what we're going to try and achieve, in line with the big goal. What are we going to achieve in the next year to stay aligned?
Yeah.
that I'm really keen on is a re-examination of the core values. I think it's really important. The process we use for that is cool. It's we pick out our best employees, and we identify the traits in them that we admire the most. So if we were going to start a new business and we could pick 3 people from the company, who would we pick? You know, who are the superstars that we can't do without? And when we sit down and collate those results from the management team, it tends to be the same names. And then we sit down and say, okay, what is it about Bob? We haven't got anybody called Bob in case they watch this. I'm just, hiding, protecting their modesty. But what do we like about Bob? What are the things that Bob does that are amazing? What are his character traits? And we use that as the driver to define a new core value.
Yeah, that's awesome. What about ROC, as I call it, return on culture, or which is of course the return on investment? I mean, it's hard to quantify, but you obviously put some time and energy into the culture. You're when you are hiring, you're looking for that. I'm sure when you're unhiring, you're also looking at these people and doing the GWC and saying, do they fit? But you must be able to say, yeah, for sure, the time I've invested in culture has returned, tremendous value.
The best example I can give you, warmed my heart so much at the time. So we're in a competitive situation for a distribution business in the UK to try and win their business. And it's us or one of our kind of number one competitors. And there's not much to choose between us, to be honest. They've got a good product and they're a good company. And I sat down with the 2 owners of this business and talked about, how can we make this happen? And they kind of had a pre-prepared speech and sat down and said, David, we're going to go with you. And I said, okay, that's great. He said, we just got a good feeling about kind of you and the people that we've met. It just feels like you're going to look after us. And you've told us lots and lots of times, you're nice people to do business with, which is one of the messages I try and get across all the time. He said, the other thing is, I've got your proposal here. I love these core values. They really kind of fit with us as a business. And that was cited by them as one of the reasons that they chose us. So that is quantifiable. That's like a new customer, probably a 10+ year relationship that we're going to have with, lucrative license fees and providing a great solution for them. So you can quantify it in that sense. And the rest of the stuff, I agree with you. Particularly like if we're going to, if we've got an HR situation, out come the core values.
Yeah.
Always.
That's great.
It's like, we've got a core value of X. Do you think that what happened on Tuesday was a good example of that or not? And if not, what we're going to do about it, So that's quantifiable too.
Yeah, exactly. That's why, and that's why I often think people still need people. Will come up with their core values and they'll stick them on the wall, but they don't know what to do after that. But you've got a number of things that you're doing to keep them alive and thriving in the organization, like the nomination scheme, through Slack, the culture week that you have at the end of each month, or the core values week. You've got a few things that you're doing, and including that one there, which I call, using them to sort of power difficult conversations. You've got an HR situation, bring out the core values, as you say, use them to power that, and use that as a sort of a benchmark for, does this person, are they, doing a behavior that actually does match up with our desired behaviors as stated by the core values? And if they're not, and they're not consistently, then and they can't get with it, then they're probably not a fit. And that's when you do go through the unhiring part, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
What I also love about, looking at everybody relative to our core values, at least once a year through the people analyzer, is it's not just about the individual people on the kind of x-axis. When you look at it, when you look at the columns, you can see the core value at the top and what's the score for the core value running straight through the company. And it becomes really, really powerful to identify which of the values we actually need to focus on. Everyone's got a great mark for customer focus, but actually well-being, we're struggling. So what do we do? What do we need to change? What conversations do we need to have to, particularly these guys who are really struggling? How do we get them up to the rest of the team? And I think that's really helpful to really, really quantifiable. again, the measurement of that, where you've got some core values for each individual.
What about your core value of fun? How do you, any stories there?
Well, we have beer every Friday, which again, we got from Lextech. We like to have a beer on a Friday and have a bit of fun. But
have you been doing that on Zoom, by the way?
They have. They have been. It's been great. And what we also do is every quarter, we also like to say, look, in accordance with our core value of fun, we're all going 10-pin bowling. We're all going whatever it might be. We agree we're going to do something. And we've done a quiz, through lockdown as well to try and keep that moving.
Yeah.
I think fun is a good one. It's my friend Nikki Gattenby that I need to attribute that to. The dopamine quote. It was something I got from her. And,
what's the dopamine quote again?
Dopamine. Where are we? I don't want to get it wrong. I've said it once. Laughter equals dopamine equals productivity.
Yeah, right.
I do encourage them to have fun. I like to have music in the office and just make sure that everybody enjoys working for the team. I mean, it's not always a barrel of laughs. We've got everyone has booms and slumps. There are difficult situations, but I do want everybody to feel like if they're an employee of where they enjoy working in the team, and it's okay to have fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, we're coming up to the end of our time, David. Any final sort of in EO, the Entrepreneurs Organization, we don't like giving advice, but what would you share? What experience? What would you share with the listeners about how culture has worked for you and give some advice?
My number one piece of advice would be the core value champions thing that we do, where the rest of the team nominate individuals. That's the number one thing that makes sure our culture runs through the heart of the team like letters through a stick of rock. It really is the best tip I can give anybody. Slack is a great way to do it. It's a nice public forum where everybody gets to see it. And somebody will put something on make a nomination, and then you'll get 16 people all with like little bottles of champagne or hand clap emojis. It's really, really cool. If you want to accelerate the way that culture is pervades through the company, that is a great way to do it.
Yeah, I quite agree. So that's actually why I named the company Culture Czars, or one of the reasons that I named it that is because absolutely every company has culture czars, and if you can build around them, and it doesn't mean the CEO has to do everything, because they've got these other people who get a 3 out of 3 when you do the people analyzer on all the core values, and use them for your hiring and for the fun elements and for keeping your culture alive. And they're the ones that you would often like to clone if you could.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I think that brings us to the end of this, David. It's been a great conversation. You're obviously doing some cool things. Congratulations on all the success that you're having at West. And of course, very good for me to what you're doing. Every time the company grows and gets more valuable, that's awesome. And so love watching what you're doing. And thanks for coming on the podcast and sharing what you do.
No problem. I'll send you some examples of the team nominations if you want to, send them out to your audience. They're really cool.
Yeah, would love that. And David, also remind us, how can, if anybody just happens to be interested, if there's any NetSuite users out there and they think they'd like to know more about Wearlinks, how can they find out more and reach you?
Yeah, 2 places. First of all, in the kind of app store that NetSuite have, which is suiteapp.com. Just search for warehouse management systems. You'll see Wearlinks up there with lots of nice reviews. Or you can contact us through our website, which is waresystems.com, WAER.
Okay.
Systems.com.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks very much. Well, it's awesome. So 21 years old. Are we doing anything to celebrate this year in lockdown?
Not so far.
Yeah.
Maybe at 25 we might.
Yeah. All right. Very good. Thanks a lot.
Nice to talk to you. Take
Cheers.
care and enjoy your weekend. I'll see you
soon. Okay. Thanks.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to click subscribe, check us out on the web at culturezars.com, and we'll see you next time.